Hi guys, it's Misha Books and Caps, and for today's video I am doing the Goodreads tag. The last tag I did on my channel was the newbie tag, so I'm pretty excited about doing this tag today. So let's get right into the tag. Question number 1, what was the last book you marked as read? The last book I marked as read was Are All Guys Assholes by Amber Madison. I mentioned this book in one of my videos, in my November update video. The book was just okay. I did question some of the statistics that was mentioned in that book, and it also gave me a feel of unprofessionalism about it, but I didn't give it a rating or anything. It was just okay. Question number 2, what are you currently reading? The book that I'm currently reading is Women Have All the Power, Too Bad They Don't Know It by Michael J. Lockwood. This book is actually pretty good. The author's main purpose for this book is to dedicate it towards his daughters, which I find such a great fatherly thing for him to do for his daughters, and this is a book I would recommend women to read. I am enjoying this so much. I should probably be finishing it sometime this weekend. And like I said, it's a really good book. It's very insightful. And at this point, you guys are probably wondering from the books that I've been talking about, is she okay? Is she going through some things? Maybe. But you know, nothing wrong with that. But yeah, this is a pretty good book. Question number 3, what is the last book you marked as TBR or to be read? The last book I put on my TBR was What the Hell Did I Just Read by David Wong. I first saw this book at the library and I was like, oh, I didn't know David Wong had a new book out, because I know that he wrote John Dies at the End, which I have and own. I don't have the second book, which is, I believe this book is filled with spiders. And when I was at the library, I decided not to pick it up because I felt like that was a book that I wasn't going to attempt to read right now because of how hectic my reading schedule is going to be this month. But then I went on Goodreads and I seen that somebody else had marked it as their TBR, so I was like, oh, okay, I'll mark it as my TBR. And that's when I found out that I guess it's the 3rd book in the John Dies at the End series, so I might get around to buying the 2nd book plus that one so I can have like the little collection, and then I could probably read those books back to back. Looking forward to it. I originally bought John Dies at the End a little before the movie came out years ago, but it's been on my bookshelf and I haven't gotten to it. I did see a little bit of the movie and it was kind of weird, so I kind of get a gist of what those books are about, and I'm sure I'll probably find them pretty funny and I just can't wait to read them. Question number 4, what book do you plan to read next? The next book I plan to read is Calling My Name by Liara Tamani or Tamani. And this is, I believe, a YA book. It's also her debut book. I originally saw this on Goodreads and it looked pretty good. I then found it at the library and I immediately just picked it up. Like, yeah, it said I'm reading this. I don't remember what it's about. Let's see. Have you ever noticed how some books, if you turn and look inside of them, they have a summary sometimes over here? I really don't like when books don't have that. I really love that. This book doesn't have that. Okay, pretty much this book is about a girl's life through middle school, and what's her name? Oh my gosh. Okay, so like I don't even know what the main character's name. All I know is that it's a book that follows her through middle school and high school, and it talks about her life, you know, as a typical teenage girl growing up and all her expectations for her relationships, you know, and her family life. and her education, her friends. You know, I'm sure it's going to be pretty good. I don't know of anybody else who have read this. I don't know any reviews about it. Oh, it's about a girl named Taja Brown, and she tells her story through her middle school years and high school years. Talks of like betrayal, hopes, and dreams. And like I said, it sounds like it's gonna be pretty good. And I'm loving that there are more diverse authors coming out to speak from point of views of diverse characters. So that's another reason why I picked this up. And here is a picture, a gorgeous picture of the author. She is so pretty. Question number 5. Do you use the star rating system? Yes, I do use the Goodreads star rating system, which consists of stars 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1-star rating means to me that this book is just a big no. Like, I would not recommend it. I did not like it whatsoever. Probably I pretty much hated it, and I will actually condone the procedure of setting it on fire. It was just a book that was bad. Probably plot-wise, boring, writing, editing, just amongst a combination amongst those things. Yeah, I don't think for anybody 1-star means a good thing. 2-star ratings are books that I just didn't care for, didn't like, they missed the mark. I wouldn't recommend them. 3-star ratings, which is what I typically rate my books. I think on Goodreads my average is 3.35, which is kind of pretty low, I guess. But for the most part, I give books 3 stars. For this means that my feelings towards the book were neutral. The book was just okay, not really a big deal, or like I said, anything that I feel neutral about. I almost want to equivalent it to almost giving a book not a rating. I probably would consider it the same thing as that. 4-star ratings to me are books that I were generally pleased by. I liked it very much. I would recommend it. I would consider rereading it. Just books that I thought were very good. 5-star books are, of course, my favorites. Not every book that I give a 5-star rating to I consider a favorite, but these books are top of the notch, really good, very recommendable, and I enjoyed it and was very pleased with it. I typically don't give a lot of 4 or 5-star ratings. Like I said, I usually give out like 2 or 3. It seems like the older I get, the more painful books are getting for me. I think maybe I'm just reading the wrong types of books. Question number 6. Did you do the 2017 reading challenge? Are you doing the 2018 reading challenge? For this year, I did do a 2017 reading challenge. I talked a little bit more about this in my last video, but I'm now at, I've read so far this year 44 books, and my goal is to get to 72, so I'm reading. For next year, I want to read 29 books, so I am doing a reading challenge. Pretty much now or next year, in the years to follow, as long as Goodreads is around, I will probably always do an annual challenge. Question number 7, do you have a wish list? I do not have a wish list. I consider a wish list equivalent to a TBR. So any book that I want is possibly on my TBR. So I don't bother with having a wish list. When I usually go out to like bookstores or Barnes and Nobles, and then I'll see a book that looks good, or for the most part I have on my TBR, and thus I'm interested in buying, then I will get it. Question number 8, what book do you plan to buy next? The next book I plan to buy is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I decided on this because I own 2 of his books already, More Happy Than Not and History's All You Left Me. I have yet to read either book. So 2018 might just be the year. Question number 9. Do you have any favorite quotes? Would you like to share a few? I do have a couple of favorite quotes on Goodreads, and I will share a few. Gotta get my laptop out. So the first quote on here is my absolute favorite quote of all time. It's a quote that I would consider getting a tattoo of one day, and I just love this quote so much. It's actually a long run-on sentence, and it goes into graphic detail a little bit, but I only like the first line, so that's the one I'm going to read, and it is: I recall certain moments. Let us call them icebergs in paradise. This quote is from Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. I love that quote so much. I just love that part. The rest, I'm not going to really run on and read all of it. But to me, when I read that quote, I kind of see it from a point of view of a realist, how a realist must think. If I may break it down, to me, how I see that quote is paradise is life. Life is a very beautiful thing, you know. It's beautiful to give life, and life is very precious, and you only got one life to live. But in life, there are these hardships, these icebergs, and they are your obstacles, your difficulties that you go through in life that in the outcome make you a better person. And sometimes you look back on those memories, those moments, those little icebergs in this thing called life, which is of a paradise, really. And another quote that I have on here that is just me being goofy. This song is for the guy who keeps yelling from the balcony. It's called We Hate You, Please Die. And that is from Scott Pilgrim series. I have a lot of quotes on here from Lolita. And if you guys don't know, you know now. Lolita is like my favorite book of all time. It's kind of hard saying that to people because if you know what Lolita is about. So my backup favorite book is The Kite Runner. I would probably talk about those more in other videos or throughout my channel. I'm going to stick with the literature quotes because there are some quotes on here that are not of literature. And she was mine. She was mine. The key was in my fist. My fist was in my pocket. She was mine. That was from Lolita. I knew I had fallen in love with Lolita forever, but I also knew she would not be forever Lolita. And of course, the famous one, and the rest is rust and stardust. He broke my heart. You merely broke my life. Lolita. It was love at first sight, at last sight, at ever and ever sight. Lolita. Bet none of you can guess this quote. This is a long one. And I remember when I met him, it was so clear that he was the only one for me. We both knew it right away, and as the years went on, things got more difficult. We were faced with more challenges. I begged him to stay, tried to remember what we had at the beginning. He was charismatic, magnetic, electric, and everybody knew it. When he walked in, every woman's head turned. Everyone stood up to talk to him. He was like this hybrid, this mix of a man who couldn't contain himself. I always got the sense that he became torn between being a good person and missing out on all of the opportunities that life could offer a man as magnificent as him. In that way, I understood him and I loved him. I loved him. I loved him. I loved him. And I still love him. I love him. That was from Lana Del Rey off of her album Born to Die, the song National Anthem. That quote doesn't play on the track, but it plays in the music video. I'm a big Lana Del Rey fan. My next quote is And So It Goes by Kurt Vonnegut from Slaughterhouse-Five. For You, 1,000 Times Over from The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. Of course, like I said, that's one of my favorite books of all time. And in that moment, I swear we were infinite. I was obsessed with this quote back in high school. This is from The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And the last quote I will read. Thomas Edison's last words were, "It's very beautiful over there." I don't know where there is, but I believe it's somewhere, and I hope it's beautiful. This is from Looking for Alaska by John Green. And honestly, when I really think about it, I think this quote alone was the reason why I liked the book so much. I reread the book like a year or two ago, and I realized, what did I ever really like about this book? It was actually kind of boring. And then I realized it was because of that quote. It was because of the last paragraph of the book. That's why I liked it so much. I just really felt that quote. It was really heavy to me. Question number 10. Who are your favorite authors? My favorite authors, I kind of don't like this question because I don't think I have any favorite authors. But when I take the time to actually sit down and think about it, I realize, yeah, I think I do have quite a few. Right now, I love Junji Ito. He does Japanese manga. One of his famous works is Uzumaki, which I read around this time last year, and I loved it. I went on to read his other stories as his other books as well, and he just does horror manga that's pretty much gory, bloody, and just creepy. I would love to own all three one day. My next favorite author is Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. After reading a couple of her works, I gotta put her on this list. I first read Americana, and I really enjoyed that. Then I believe last year or the year before, I read Half of a Yellow Sun, and that book was just so heartbreaking and so good. One of my favorite of all times, and it's probably one of my favorite book by her. And so, yes, she's a beautiful writer, and I would love to read more of her stuff. My next favorite is Alex Sanchez. He is best known for his Rainbow Boys trilogy that I read back in like high school, and that is my favorite trilogy. I don't talk about other trilogies that are out now. I don't really like reading trilogies. I don't. I'll read a series, but I don't like trilogies. But I really enjoy the Rainbow Boys trilogy, and I like him. He typically writes about teenage gay males. He writes male-on-male romances. And my last favorite is Vladimir Nabokov, and he is famous for writing Lolita, which I enjoyed. I could probably make a whole video on why that's my favorite book. I would have to reread it first, but pretty much I love that book. I don't like the story, okay? I don't condone the story at all. The story pretty much follows a pedophile as he seeks after a young girl named Lolita. What I loved about the book so much was the storytelling, the writing. I thought at times it was beautifully written, and I even thought at times the writing was funny. I haven't read anything else by him. I kind of don't want to get disappointed by his other works, so that's why I'm still writing after all these years on Lolita. But if you know of any of his books that are equally good or that are really good, let me know. I did pick up Despair a couple of years ago to read, never got around to it, but that'll probably be the next book of his that I would pick up to read. And finally, question number 11, have you joined any groups? I have joined a few groups, and I mentioned in my last video, I don't frequently participate in them, but I will list off a couple of the ones that I'm in. The two ones that I participate a whole lot in, and this is where I get most of my reading challenges, Nothing Better Than Reading, and the Challenge Factory. These are my favorite groups that I participate in. The other two that I will mention that I'm part of, I just recently became part of BookTube, which is a little community for booktubers. And I'm also part of Mocha Girls Reads, which is a reading group particularly to African American females that enjoy reading. And so that is it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I will be doing more tags in the future, of course. This is a new, for the most part, rebirth channel, So I still got a couple more tags up my sleeve left to do. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye. Maybe I am going through some things. Don't judge me.